My first love was Brian Casetta. I was 16 years old when I met him. He was 19. It was my summer going into my junior year of high school, and he was already a sophomore in college. We met by total coincidence, and this is like such a judgmental story, but I'm going to tell it anyway because I'm really not embarrassed by it because fate has it that it worked out for the best anyway. But my cousin Lexi was here from Illinois, and she had this app called Kick, and she was showing me like all these people that she was talking to, and she was just like messing with people. She was like, "You should download it," and so I did. And he was doing the same thing with his friends, and that's kind of why this like turned out to be like a coincidence because him and his friends were doing the same thing. Because Ryan's really like shy, so he would never do something like that. And so like now it's a joke with him and all of his friends that like we would have never met if it hadn't been for them. So we met on there and we started talking, and he played baseball in college and like I played softball in high school, so we really like bonded over that. We both had the app for one night. We started talking, and we talked for about 4 months before he came down to meet me because he's from up here and I'm from down the shore. So it took about 4 months, and then we finally met, and that was over 5 years ago. I think over the course of talking to him for 4 months, I kind of already knew that I loved him. But it was, I don't want to say that it was love at first sight because we had been talking for a long time before that. But when we first met, we decided that he wouldn't come straight to my house to meet me and my whole family because that's like a lot in one time. And then after we met, we were going to go back so he could meet my family. But we met at the outlets, and I was so nervous to meet this kid because I just knew that like I loved him already just based on talking to him. And I was so nervous, and he came up to my car and he knocked on my window because I wouldn't get out, and he was like, "Get out, you crazy person," or something like that. And like he was laughing and like joking, and I was like, "Oh my god, like I love this kid." I think some of our biggest conflicts was the fact that for the first 2 years we were long distance because he lived up here and I lived about an hour away. So that was pretty hard because I was still in high school and like he was really busy with baseball and college and stuff like that. It was really difficult to see each other for the first 2 years, but we made it work, and in a way it was kind of better because we were both growing as like individuals, but like at the end of the day we had each other, and like we really tried to make it work and see each other every weekend. Sometimes that didn't work, so like if you think about it, if we can see each other one weekend, like that would be 2 weeks without each other. So like, and when you're young and like in love, that's kind of a big deal to not see them for 2 weeks. But our biggest conflicts have, and like another thing is communication. Like our communication has definitely gotten better, I think, throughout the years, but like we still definitely struggle with that, and like even till this day. So I think some of our biggest conflicts have just revolved around like being distant from one another, even currently still in the summers when I go home and stuff like that, and then also just like communicating with one another because sometimes it's like really hard to like effectively communicate after being with somebody for so long. Like you kind of lose sight of like the respect factor, and you really only think about yourself in arguments and like wanting to prove yourself right, and so sometimes that can get like really difficult. I personally think that our whole relationship is one giant accomplishment just because of how long we've stayed together and how willing we've been to make it work throughout all these years. I went through half of high school and almost all of college because I'm in my fourth year of college with this kid. And so, like, no matter what, we kind of just always made it work, and we always, like, forgave each other, and, like, we tried to be patient, and, like, don't get me wrong, like sometimes it's been so hard. Like recently we've been at a very low point. But I just think that overall we have such a good foundation of love, like underneath all like the petty stuff that we have going on. And like it really makes you appreciate what you have, because at the end of the day, like none of that stuff matters. And like if you love each other and you respect each other, then that should be all that matters in a relationship. Some of the qualities that I love about Brian is the fact that he accepts me for me. He knows how weird I am and he just doesn't care, and he never has. Another quality that I like about him is that we like are polar opposites, but for our case that works. Like I'm the outgoing, like fun one, like, and he's really like he's been really shy, but lately he's been coming out of his shell, so I think I have something to do with that. But yeah, no, he's just the best, and he's never left my side, and I love that he's patient with me and he understands that I have my bad days and he still accepts me for who I am. The one bad quality that he has is how stubborn he is, because I'm stubborn too. So when we get into like little conflicts where like we don't agree on things, like we both will like really fight till the end, and then we'll just kind of give up, and that's where our communication lacks. I think some of the most important qualities to have in a relationship is effective communication, trust, um, love, and respect. If you don't have those four things in your relationship, then odds are it's lacking somewhere, and eventually I just feel like it'll catch up to you. But it's okay to hit lows in those four aspects of your relationship, but it's important to look upon that and realize it and then work on it. Because if you just let it be, then it's going to build up and build up and build up until it explodes, and then you don't know what to do and it's too late. So I think the most important thing is to always, always, always make sure that your relationship has those four things. And if one is lacking, then to focus on it and work on it as a team. Since Brian and I are still together, I think I would tell somebody who was in a relationship at a young age that if you really feel like at the end of your life you are going to be with this person and they are worth fighting for, then forget what other people have to say about young love and your first relationships. Because I remember being in my sociology class in high school and my teacher telling me, "Oh well, it's fine. You're probably not gonna wind up with him anyway." And I just remember looking at him and being like, "Yeah, but you're wrong." And so I just think that like if I had to give advice, like if you know deep down in your soul that they are the one, then don't let what society thinks and living it up in college and stuff like that and experimenting get in the way of that, because I just feel like you can still do all of those things with someone by your side.